So picture this. March 16th, 1988. An entire city in Iraqi Kurdistan just falls silent. How does something like that even happen? Well, to begin to understand it, you have to start with the images left behind, these incredibly haunting photographs. That quote you just saw comes from one of the very first photographers on the ground, Ahmed Natigi. He's describing this scene, a man, Omar Kawar, holding his infant child. And what was so chilling is that they were victims of an attack that left no visible wounds at all. So it begs the question, right? How could an entire city die in total silence? And that's really the heart of it. To get to the bottom of this, we've got to explore that aftermath, this city that was literally frozen in time. Okay, so something this horrific doesn't just happen out of the blue. You have to understand the context. This was a brutal chapter in a much, much larger conflict. Really, a war within a war. So let's walk through how we got here. The Iran-Iraq war is raging. Iranian forces, along with Kurdish Peshmerga fighters, push into Iraqi Kurdistan, and they capture the city of Halabja. Now, here's the critical part. The local Kurdish people who had suffered so much under Saddam Hussein actually welcomed these forces. And that welcome, that moment of hope for them, was twisted by the Iraqi regime into a pretext, an excuse to unleash an absolutely unimaginable punishment on its own citizens. And this punishment, this retaliation, it wasn't just brutal. It was meticulously, cruelly planned. It started with bombs from the sky and ended with a smell that nobody would ever forget, the smell of sweet apples. Now, think about this for a second. For 2 full days before the main attack, the city was just relentlessly bombarded with conventional bombs and napalm. But this wasn't random. It had a very specific, sinister purpose: to shatter every single window in the city. They were systematically breaking down every possible defense, making sure that when the real attack came, there would be absolutely nowhere to hide. And then, on March 16th, it happened. 50 Iraqi jets, MiGs and Mirages, suddenly appear over Halabja. For the next 5 hours, they just keep coming, dropping bomb after bomb. And then, this strange yellow gas cloud begins to roll through the streets, seeping into homes. A cloud that survivors said had this bizarrely pleasant smell, like sweet apples. So, what was in that cloud? Well, experts later figured out it was this horrifying cocktail of chemicals. We're talking mustard gas, which causes terrible blisters, but also a mix of deadly nerve agents like sarin and taboon, plus cyanide. This deadly combination is why the survivors describe such a wide range of just awful, horrific symptoms. The immediate result was just catastrophic. Around 5,000 people, men, women, children, killed. Many of them died within just minutes of breathing in that gas. And for those who survived, we're talking about 10,000 people. For them, the attack never really ended. They were left with a lifetime of pain, chronic illnesses, cancers, birth defects in their children. It's a legacy of suffering that continues even to this day. Saddam's regime wanted this to be a secret, to just wipe a city off the map without anyone knowing. But they couldn't. The evidence was just too powerful, and that's thanks to a small number of incredibly brave people who dared to document this unspeakable crime. When the first journalists got in, the reports they sent out were just surreal, nightmarish. You can see it in this quote from The Guardian. No wounds, no blood, skin strangely discolored, eyes open and staring. This was unlike any battlefield anyone had ever seen before. And this phrase from Agence France-Presse really stuck. A frozen city. It perfectly captured the silent, eerie horror of what chemical weapons do. It's a description that grabbed the world's attention. And let's be really clear about this. Without the Iranian photographers who were the first to enter the city, people like Ahmad Natigi and Saeed Sadeghi, and the first responders who evacuated the injured and buried the dead, the world might never have known the truth. Their photos, especially Natigi's image of Omar Hawar and his child, became irrefutable proof. The Iraqi regime could have just denied it all, but these images made that impossible. You know, an atrocity like this doesn't just become a footnote in a history book. It leaves these deep echoes that demand both justice and remembrance. And that justice did eventually come in a legal sense. In 2010, the Iraqi High Criminal Court officially recognized the Halabja attack not just as a war crime, but as an act of genocide. And that word is so important. It means this was a deliberate attempt to wipe out a specific group of people. The man who gave the order, Saddam's cousin Ali Hassan al-Majid, became infamous as Chemical Ali. He was, in the end, executed for his role in this and other crimes. But legal justice is one thing. Keeping the memory alive is another. And that's where art comes in. Musicians, filmmakers, authors, they've all worked to make sure Halabja's story is told not just in cold, hard facts, but through the emotional power that only art has. So when you look at Halabja, you see this incredible transformation in how it's remembered. Back then, it was the largest chemical attack ever launched against a civilian population. Just a pure, horrifying event. But now, it's become this permanent, powerful symbol. It's a warning to the entire world about the horror of chemical warfare. And for the Kurdish people, it's a profound touchstone for their identity, their survival, and their memory. And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? When a people's history is written in scars like this, how do you truly remember it? The story of Halabja really forces us to think about how we keep these memories alive, not just as tragic stories, but as urgent lessons that we absolutely must never, ever forget.